Real people. Amazing people. Agricultural people. When it comes to leaders in agriculture, we have honored the best of the best. This year, the Washington State Potato Foundation is celebrating leadership traits that fuel excellence in our industry. Dedication is that trait. Dedication is required to be successful in agriculture. Dedication. Webster's defines dedication as devotion of time, effort, and energy to a meaningful purpose. This year, the Washington State Potato Foundation honors an individual who in every way embodies the definition of dedication. The unequivocal selection for the 2019 honoree is Ed Schneider. Dedication to loyalty.
So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Ed's dedication, I work with him every day. I'm in the office every day with him, and a couple years ago I bought a pinboard map of the United States. I decided we labeled it places we've gone for spuds or places potatoes have taken us. And it came with 25 pins, black and red, and I picked red and I pinned mine. And I've been around here and there, East Coast, West Coast. Ed goes back and he starts pinning, he comes out, I need more pins. I had to order more pins. Brings out, so I ordered 50 more, and he almost used all of them. I counted them the other day. There's over 60 pins outside of Washington State in the U.S., not to mention the ones that are overseas, but in the U.S., over 60 pins. If that doesn't speak to someone's dedication to the potato industry, I don't know what does. It'll take me years to do that. It'll take all these guys, some people here have done that, some people are still doing that. It's pretty amazing to me that somebody can do that, run a business successfully in potatoes for over 40 years. It's pretty cool to be involved in that and be around them as much as I am.
That's what Ed does for the next generation of growers. So I thought it was me when he first did it with me, where we were at commissions and he would work through issues with me that I didn't quite understand, because when I came on I was a lot younger than everybody else, a lot like Jared, and I didn't know the issues, and they were a pretty tightly bonded group, the other commissioners, and I came on kind of late, and I was a little worried and a little skittish, and he just kind of grabbed me by the arm and taught me the issues and kind of showed me how to be a commissioner. And so I think that he's done that for enough people over the years that at the end of the day, there's dozens and hundreds of us that are just telling ourselves that, if it wasn't for Ed, we probably wouldn't be here right now.
Dedication means to motivate and inspire new leaders.
I met Ed. I knew him when I was a kid, but I met him the first time professionally, and I'll never forget it, in Madison, Wisconsin. And we talk about it all the time. It was a seed seminar, and I was forced to go, and I didn't know anybody, and so I stood against the wall, and he teases me about it to this day, about being a wallflower over there. And he saw me on the other side, and he walks over and he talks to me and he says, "Hey, why don't you come meet this guy, come meet this guy." And he engaged me into the conversation because I knew nobody, and he didn't have to do that. And so to this day, I'm so thankful that he did that. And then we skip forward a few years and, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing the commission?" I'm like, "No, I'm too young, I don't know anything." And he goes, "Well, I'm getting ready to retire off the commission and I'd like for you to fill my spot." And I said, "Well, I'm not doing that," and hung up. And he calls me a week later and says, "Did you give any more thought to it?" I said, "Yeah, I gave more thought to it, I'm not doing it." And he kept calling me and kept calling me, and then he said, I said, "What do I have to do it?" And he goes, "Well, there's this form that you have to fill out, and you have to get 3 growers to sign and in essence sponsor you." And I said, "Oh, great." And he goes, "Well, don't worry about that because that's already done. Just come get it, and here's the paper, and you just put it in the mail and it's done." And I'm like, "Well, where do I mail it to?" And he goes, "Oh, don't worry about that, I'll mail that too." So next thing, I'm on the commission, and I was overwhelmed and all that stuff, but Ed was always there to help guide me through it, to mentor me through it. People have talked about him being a mentor and dedicated. Not only is he dedicated to our industry, where he travels and sits on committees and goes to every meeting and is there all day long, but he also is dedicated to taking the younger generation and bringing them up behind him. And so it is an amazing thing to watch that he not only volunteers his time, but also volunteers his time to bring other people along the way.
Dedication is fighting to elicit change, even when the road to get there isn't easy, and be willing to put in relentless hours day after day and year after year.
Unlike most of these guys here, I was on the commission when Ed came on. And when Ed first came on, he was on board right away. I mean, he was ready to do whatever, and he did it, and he did a great job of it. But what I really like about Ed is the commitment he's had to this sustainable initiative. He has, instead of, I don't know how many different things we would have had to fill out, surveys and stuff, if it hadn't been for Ed. But I think they've cut it down to maybe just a handful or less, where it would have been every QSR and everybody else would have wanted a survey. Thank you, Ed. That's really helped a lot. I'm old, but I got a son and grandsons and sons and grandsons that have to fill these damn things out. And anyway, thanks, Ed.
Dedication demands sacrifice and tenacity.
Dedication toward Ed's dedication. I think that his dedication is incredible, and me being the only retired one in this group talking about him today kind of makes me mad sometimes, because he won't go play when I want to go play, and because no, I got a conference call, or I got to be somewhere to talk about a potato issue and things like that, and it come life when he's not doing potatoes, he's dedicated to other things, and he sets things up in a very organized way to where things work smooth, and if he can't make something after he's committed to it, he feels really, really bad about it.
Dedication and commitment to career. Dedication to support coworkers and peers in every season. Dedication and loyalty to decades of friendships. Dedication to family at all cost.
Ed is probably one of the most dedicated guys I know of this industry. I think one of the great things I like about Ed is he's always been a great mentor to people. Whether you were, let's say a first-time commissioner coming on board, or even as a staff member, Ed was always someone you could go to bounce off ideas or to get his input on something. And it shows a lot of dedication when you're taking time out of your schedule to really kind of mentor and help others grow, both as rookie commissioners or rookies in the National Potato Council, or rookie staff members like me when I first started. So I thought that was a great thing about Ed. He was just really dedicated to nurturing and mentoring people.
Ed Schneider is the epitome of dedication. You are a leader of distinction, confidence, honesty, humility, integrity. The Washington State Potato Foundation congratulates Ed Schneider for his relentless dedication to the potato industry.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to the Potato Foundation for presenting me this award tonight. And thanks to everyone here tonight for coming out. Over 30 years ago, I was given the opportunity by my family, potato growers in Washington, and potato growers across the United States to represent them on various issues and projects. I have traveled thousands of miles, traveled to many different places, and met hundreds of people. Some of the things I've done has been interesting, some has not. Some of what we've accomplished has been successful, and others not. Some has been fun, and some not so fun. Throughout all these years, I've loved what I have done. And as long as the industry will allow me, I will continue to represent them and do the things I love to do. Thank you.
But what would dedication be without a little fun now and then?
So it's probably been 4 or 5 years, or maybe even longer. It's pretty common. Everybody's pickup has an app on their phone that you can unlock and remote start and do whatever you want with the phone. Well, I know all of Ed's passwords just being around him all the time, and he got a Chevy pickup with OnStar, and it had that app, and he didn't realize that pickup ever had that. Never knew I knew that. So I downloaded the app, and I could remote start his pickup or set the alarm off or whatever. So anytime I would go to town, I'd see him at the Crazy Moose having lunch or something, I'd stop, I'd unlock his pickup, and I would move stuff inside the cab just a little, just so like you get in like, something's off here, but not enough like somebody's been in here. So I'd move his glasses over here. I'd take this out of his armrest, set over here on this side, you know, just to kind of mess with him a little bit. And what it evolved to was he has a house with Alan up on the Spokane River, and anytime that he would go up there, I would try, if I could remember, at 5 o'clock on the first Friday of every night, I would set off his alarm on his pickup, you know, and it's the middle of nowhere. So and he's never spoke of it. So I don't know if it worked or if, once again, he just didn't want the person to have the satisfaction of getting him. But just another time, he's been lucky to be around me.
So did you just confess? Does he notice?
No, that's a confession. Yeah, that was me.
You're lucky to be
But
alive.
I wasn't the only one that knew that. There were other family members that knew that, Kelsey. But it wasn't just me.
One story with Ed where we're in a bar up at Pullman, and his niece is a bartender, so she's giving us all sorts of different drinks and stuff, and we're getting a little bit carried away, and all of a sudden we just look up, and out of the blue, there's Ed behind the stand with the DJ, just going at it with the record player like he's a DJ up there. And he's like 35 years older than any kid in the bar besides us, right? None of us have any reason to even be in this place. And all the kids are just going like this and screaming and loving him, and he's just stealing the day. Oh yeah! So we're coming home one night from one of these bars. This is a different night, same homecoming, but different night. And Ed's had one too many glasses of wine, and we're wandering down, and about 3/4 of the way back, he can't take it anymore. He's got to lay down. So he just lays down in the middle of the lawn in front of everybody. There's kids walking back and forth. It's like 12:30, but that's, you know, normal time for kids up there. And he looks at us point blank, and he just goes, "Save yourselves, I can't make it."
Myself and Randy and Mullen and Ed Schneider on our way back to the campers, and they have these hot dog stands in Pullman, and so we decided we're gonna stop and get a hot dog on our way walking back. And we all get one, and we're walking down the street, and some college kid comes up and says, "Hey, what'd you get, a hot dog there?" to Randy, and Randy's like, "Yeah, look, they make great hot dogs." And the guy reaches down and steals the hot dog out of Randy's hand and takes off running. It's like a purse snatching. And you're like, what just happened? And we're laughing and giggling, and Randy's all furious that some kid stole his hot dog, and we just keep on going, and we're not paying attention. Well, in that process, all of a sudden we look up, and the kid, when he grabbed the hot dog and jerked it out of Randy's hand and took off, Randy had just put mustard on it. And so all across Ed's back is this huge smear of mustard. And of course, I can't say anything because I'm laughing so hard at it. And he's like, "What's wrong?" "No, nothing, Ed, nothing."
So it's probably been 6-7 years ago now. My father-in-law lives in Connell, and for some reason he called me up, "Hey, I got these chickens in my backyard." He says, "Do you want them?" I'm like, "I don't want them," and hung up the phone. Like 30 seconds later, light bulb, call him back, "Yeah, I want those. Put them in a bucket. I'll be there this afternoon." So I get to Connell, I grab them, I have a 30-gallon garbage container, I put a cage over them, and I took them home and sat in there all night. Took him to work the next day and had him hiding. And Ed will work in the office all day sometimes. Won't come out. He's in there doing stuff all day. So I take these chickens and I dump them in the back of his pickup. He has a 4-door pickup Chevy at the time.
Like inside?
Inside the cab. Hour after hour after hour go by. And I called him and I said, "Hey, is Mike there?" Mike's his partner in the seat cutter. And Mike plays jokes and things. And he says, "Mike, no." And he said, "Oh, sorry, I saw his pickup because I want to pin it on this guy." That was it. Nope, okay, great, nothing. And the day goes on, I'm out doing water, coming back, and I just happened to pull up to the shop at the exact time he walked out of the office that day. And it had been like 9 hours since I put these chickens in his pickup. And there was 3 or 5 of them, I don't remember. It was enough to make a mess. And I pull up and I immediately I stand on my back of my pickup and I'm talking on the phone, acting like I'm talking on the phone, but really I'm watching him. He comes out and he walks over to his pickup and he opens the door, gets in, immediately gets out, shuts his door, goes around the backside, opens the door, and chickens go boom! They go everywhere. And it's about all I could do just from losing it. But I'm sitting there talking to my phone, and I'm just trying to ignore it, and you know, nothing. And he's there scraping stuff out of the back of his pickup, I didn't want to go up there because I knew I couldn't keep a straight face. So I went in the shop and acted like I was getting something. I took off. And years went by. He didn't say anything to me, nothing. But Kelsey, his daughter, at some point brought it up, and no one knew that I did this. Kelsey brings it up, and of course, I played dumb. What are you talking about? Chickens? What are you talking about here? So she tells the story. She's like, well, he won't say anything because he doesn't want the person that did it to get the satisfaction, of doing it. So he won't say anything, but he thinks he knows who it is. I was like, really? Wow, I wonder who that is. And then for a couple months, I forgot to bring it up to him. So finally, we're sitting in Country Mercantile one day. I said, hey, Kelsey the other day said something about chickens. And he, that's what he says, I was like, what, chickens? He goes, sure, yep, chickens. And he's like, what? And he says, I know it was you. And what happened, I denied it to the end of the, I denied the whole thing. Somebody ratted me out, but it did fall on Mike, 100%. He was sure it was Mike because I planned it that way and it was perfect. But what happened, the things crapped everywhere. They hadn't gone to the bathroom for a good 12 hours, and he had to go to the shop. He doesn't have vinyl flooring, he has carpet flooring. He's in there with a hose, hosing the back of his truck out with these chickens in there. Well, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse working with me over the years. That is one of many fun times I've had with Ed, and we've never had the true honest discussion of, I did it, but Ed, I did it, I did it, sorry. Everyone has gotten great enjoyment out of that over the years. Yeah, I'm not sorry. Let's be honest. I'm not sorry. Well, thank you.